was screaming. I was screaming like at Reg, but to God about Reg. And he is so annoying. He's so annoying. And I was just like that. And then at the same time, he was like, give him some grace because I've given you so much grace. Well, he does silly things like that, or he'll give me a Valentine's card that was given to him from someone at work and cross out all of the stuff, cross out all of their names, cross out the message, and then write his name at the bottom. But through what we're going through now and what we've been through, now it's completely clear to me. All of the doubts I might have had before, I know that this man loves me.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Veggie Bob Vlogs podcast. I'm your host, Jimmy. Today we have a special guest. My lovely sister, Ate, Maria. Say hi to the camera. Say hi, everybody. Hello, everybody. So the reason why my sister's here today is because, as I've said previously on all the other podcasts, dude, Bianca's got full-time work, full-time schools. I didn't want to bother her again to do the podcast with me, so I'm giving her a break. So I asked my sister, and she willingly agreed, or maybe persuasively agreed to do this with me. I literally told her, I'm like, I got nobody else. Please do this with me. And here she is. So, Ate, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, I'm Jimmy's Ate. I'm the oldest of the three of us.
Yeah.
And I think I'm the smartest, the prettiest, of course.
Yeah, you're the only one.
Yeah.
Well, the only female.
And I don't know what else you want to know. I'm half a century old, 4 kids.
I think that. And you've been married for how long?
It will be 23 years this year.
23.
So 22 years. Feels like an eternity, though.
That's... we'll get into that a little bit more.
You can cut that out.
He's not gonna watch it. So on this podcast, we talk about just relationships, whether it's with mostly marriage relationships. This is the other reason why I wanted to have you on here, because one, you can speak, and two, you can speak from experience.
Yeah.
Like you said, you got 23 years, and I'd love to hear your struggles. But as much as people love hearing about your struggles, I totally want to hear about the what do you call it? The wins in your relationship. Okay. Because not a lot of people talk about that. A lot of people talk about their struggles, and everybody's got struggles, but sometimes it's encouraging to just talk about the wins. Okay. Sometimes even just the little wins matter. And when you accumulate a lot of the little wins, you're like, I can do this for another year, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
I think you hit it. Okay.
Right? Yeah. So I just want to start off with one of the things me and Bianca, I guess, one of the things I can't even think of anything that we struggle with right now.
It's coming.
Is it?
Oh, it'll come.
Really?
Yeah.
So, okay,
it's probably already there. But because you're still in the honeymoon stage, how long have you been married?
Almost 3 years.
Okay, they say the first 7.
Is it the first 7?
That's what they say. I don't believe it.
Well, how was it with you and
us?
Reg?
We never really had a honeymoon stage, because when we were even dating, all we did was fight. We fought. And
how the heck did you guys get married?
I don't even know if you know this, Jimmy, but the day before, I called off the wedding.
Really?
I did. I called off the wedding. We had a huge fight. I don't even know.
Does anybody else know? Does Nadia?
Yeah, I know. It's because I
really?
told her. I came home and I said, I just called off the wedding. And she was like, anak, nakakahiya.
Well, yeah.
They flew in from the,
Yeah.
And I said, no. And then I woke up the next day and it was just, we're good to go.
You think it was just cold feet?
No, it wasn't cold feet. It was, cold feet in the sense that, yes, I guess so. But you know the story of me and Reg, right? How we became a couple.
Kinda.
Yeah. So can I tell you?
Yeah,
so you have a little bit of background, then you'll understand all of the struggles.
I understand the struggles. I know the struggles.
Yes,
that's what I'll say. Yeah.
So when we first met, he came to the church with June.
Yeah, I remember
right?
that.
And they look like hoodlums. And Reg knows
that's
this.
how it was back in the day.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
And they had this huge brick of a cell phone, trying to look cool and everything. But from the get-go, I was not interested. Just physically or even
zero attraction.
Personality. Yeah, no.
Okay.
So at that time I was 27 and I was in no hurry to be in a relationship. I did not even want to, whatever. If I met someone, then good.
You met someone.
So I was praying at that time because I knew my age. I was 27. And I was like, Lord, I don't trust myself to pick the right person for me, because I'll just go by looks. I'll go by, he's worship leading. I want him. Or
At least you're aware of it. A lot of people aren't even aware of that.
I had a really high standard, but the high standard that I had was like minimum also. It's like, you know how they say this is the bare minimum that you need to fill if you want to marry this person. So my standards were like, basically, you got to love God more than me, because if you don't, we're in trouble.
That's a
I
very
need
good
you.
bare
I
minimum.
need you. That was it. That was actually it. And so I didn't trust myself, because I knew the crushes that I had. They were the worship leaders. They were, oh, that guy over there, he's worshiping. But like, what do I know about his heart?
Yeah.
Only God knows, right?
You only see the outwards.
You can fake it on the outside, right? And so I prayed, and it was such a simple prayer. And I was like, and I'm a science person, so a lot of people might disagree with that, but that's me and my relationship with God. So he knows I'm his child. Yeah, that's the one that's always looking for the signs. But he is so gracious because of my personal relationship with God. That's how he deals with me. And so, and some of the signs are funny signs, but it's just something that me and him get. And so I said, Lord, I don't like I don't like roses. I can't stand roses, and especially red ones, because that's all that's all I was ever given. Like growing up and guys courting me or wanting to date me. Red roses, red roses, red roses. And I was so sick of it. And I said, you know what? I'm just simple. I love tulips. My favorite color at this time was purple. So I said, okay, Lord, purple tulips. Whoever you pick, and you're picking, not me, is the man that you have approved for me to marry, regardless of whatever else I see or whatever, my feelings. I want him to give me purple tulips.
Did you tell anybody about this? Oh, okay.
I did. I told one friend, and that was it.
So you didn't tell anybody else other than that?
Nobody,
Okay.
just God. And it was actually, I can't remember if it was after or before. I can't remember, but I did tell just one person. And then the funny thing is, when I was talking to God, I was like, 7's also my favorite number, so make it 7. And then I took it back because I thought, well, I might never get married, because now I'm putting too much, thing. So I said, okay, you know what, Lord, I want purple tulips, and I don't know where he is, because I'm 27, so I wonder what's taking him so long. So I picked a verse, and I said, Lord, the verse, what was it? It was, he makes all things beautiful in his time. Because I was thinking in my head, probably you're still working on him. So I don't know, maybe he's in jail. He hasn't even been saved. I don't know. I can wait. But like, whoever it is, this is the verse that I want to be associated with him. So I don't care if he says it to me, if he writes it, or basta. As long as it's associated with him, then that's the two things that I'm asking for. And then I left it at that. And at the time, Reg and I, we weren't even friends. I don't think we've ever been friends.
But you kind of knew.
We knew each other.
Okay.
We just knew each other. And if I'm going to be very honest, I used him for a ride. And I think, he knows this. It's impossible that he wouldn't know this. So I know that he did have feelings for me, but like, I just totally ignore that, because I was just using him for a ride.
I need a ride.
I wanted to go out and just go out. And then one day, I don't know, like I said, we weren't even friends. We were in the car in the driveway of Ravenbury, where we used to live, right? Yeah. And he gave me some flower, like a bouquet. And I swear I was like, oh no. That was my first thought, because I had this feeling that, oh my gosh, I hope that's not. And I opened it up, and they were purple roses, purple tulips. And I think I was in shock. I can't remember what happened, but I think I just ignored him, and I went inside. And then that was the end of that. When I went to pray, I said, God, I take it back. I didn't mean any of that stuff. I don't want any signs. I didn't mean it. Right. So I was just like, because I don't like this guy. And this is one thing you have to know about me, Jimmy. You probably already know. But when I talk to God, I complain to him about people. I like how I'm talking to you. If I was irritated with someone, I just tell you straight out. That's how I am with God. So I don't have to go through all this worship thing. I just barge into his presence and I say, God, no, I was just kidding when I prayed that the other day. And then I left it at that. I said, no, I was just kidding. And then one time, so we kept hanging out. He kept driving me, kept using him for rides. And one time, and you know this story, we were in the living room. And you remember the Bible I gave you, the Adventure Bible?
Yeah.
I gave that to you when you were very young.
It was the Teen Study Bible.
Was it a teen study Bible?
I still
thought
have
it was
it
an
somewhere
adventure
there.
Bible.
Oh no, you did get
It was
me an
Adventure Bible, right?
Yeah.
And so you know how you usually write on the flap the
Yes,
date,
yes.
and then I put like, "Hey, Boogerhead, I hope you're
Yeah.
here."
Yeah.
Right. And so I put the date there, and I believe the date I gave it to you was September 24. That was the actual date. But on the date where it says, like the actual, where it says to Jimmy from
Yeah.
out there, I put September 4 for some reason.
That's the Teen Study Bible you did it to. Yep.
So when me and Reg were sitting on the couch in the living room, I happened to see it, and I'm like, "Oh, it's the Bible I gave Jimmy." And so we opened it up, and then I said, "Oh, look, I gave it to him on September 4." And Reg says to me, "Hey, that's my birthday." But that was a mistake why I put that there for some
Because
reason.
on
Well,
the
one
thing-
of them, it was 24th, so I don't know which date was right, but for some reason that was September 4. And he's like, "Hey, that's my birthday." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then right underneath it was the verse, "He makes all things beautiful in his time."
Yeah.
And at that point, I looked at it and I said, "Oh, man."
This guy.
I closed it up because keep in mind, I had none. Like if they're like even below that, I had no feelings. The only feelings I had for Reg, especially when I first met him, was I don't want to be in the room with the same guy. He irritated me to the bone. He irritated me. And if you're watching this, I'm sorry, you know this. But there's a good, good stuff that happens.
There's a
out
good
there.
caveat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went to God and I swear, Jimmy, I was like crying my eyes out because I was like, "Lord, you can't possibly be. I do not like this guy, and this is me just complaining." I was like, "I didn't mean it. I'm sorry. I don't have any feelings for this guy." It went on like that for a while, and I was still hanging out with him. And then finally, I said, "Okay, God, you know what? If I asked for it, you gave me the signs, but if he is really the one, and here I am asking for another confirmation, then you're gonna have to give me the feelings because I got none. I got none. Like when I look at him, I don't even want it. Like,
I was like, there's just no feeling.
well, there was no attraction. You have to be physically attracted to someone, right?
I would hope so.
And and our personalities didn't match. They just didn't.
Complete opposite.
Yeah.
Or would you
Severe-
even say
severe.
clash?
They clashed.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't just opposite. Opposites would be okay because opposites attract.
Yeah.
Right? But we clashed. So maybe we were kind of the same, but So anyways, one time, and this is the funny thing, because that went on for a while. And then one time we were in the car, and you know those commercials back then where you'd have Cindy Crawford or whoever, some
Yeah.
girl or some guy. I'm going to use a guy as a reference. So, for example, it was a Colgate commercial, and he would like move his hair and his soft flowy hair, and then he would look at the camera and smile, and then it would sparkle. So one time we were in the car, and he just happened to be looking out the window of the car, and he looked back at me, and it was as if he did that, and
It
all of a
sparkled.
sudden there was
There was a
something.
feeling.
There was a feeling, and it scared me because that wasn't normal. Because like, what? How does that happen? I go back home and I'm like, "Lord, I don't know what's happening, but thank you because I trusted you with my heart, and I trusted you that you know better." I'm crying because when I think of the 22 years, and I will tell you about that because God is so good because he knows better than us. I know I've told you that, I feel like I've been suffering, and we joke about it. Even Reg jokes about it. We've been married, almost 23 years, but it feels like an eternity. When we say it feels like an eternity, it's because we've gone through so much. And so, to make a long story short, I trusted God more than I trust myself, because even the word of God tells us our hearts are deceitful
Yep.
above all. So you can't trust it. You just can't. Okay. So physical, now I'm attracted to my husband.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Yeah. Before that God gave me those feelings, I was not. So I can really say that it was really God. And so for people, I've had people criticize me like, well, how can she put up with him? Because they know, Reg's personality and his personality. He's very strong. He's strong. And he grew up being responsible at a young age. So we're very different. We grew up spoiled.
Yep.
Like, spoiled.
Totally.
And I even tell the kids now, I had no rules. There were no set rules. Like literally, you want to talk about non-traditional Filipino family? That's us.
Yeah.
Maybe Filipino, but we had no rules.
Yeah.
And we got everything we wanted.
Yeah.
And so when me and Reg got together, you can imagine you know, like even with just money.
Yeah.
And that's been our hardest struggle because he had to really struggle and work hard for it. And it was always just given.
Yes.
It's given, right? And so your thinking is if you don't work hard for it, you just kind of squander it. You're not responsible with it. And so we're working through that now. But what I have to say is I heard a message lately that said, marriage isn't to make you happy. It's to make you holy. The happiness comes after you're made holy. So I realized after siguro the first, I'm going to say first 10 years. I know that's a long time. Maybe even 15. Yeah, I'm going to say 15 actually. For the first 15 years, it was me coming to God in my closet saying, Lord, and with tears and weeping and groaning, why did you give me this man? Like, I trust you, but what in God's green earth did I do to deserve him?
Yeah.
And it was all complaining. What are you doing? Why are you punishing me? That's what it felt like. It felt like a punishment because I always felt like you want me to, because God was always telling me, you need to change. Stop trying to change him. It took me a lot of years before I finally stopped and said, okay, I can't change him. I obviously can't change him. So God, you deal with him, change me. And this is where the struggle was, because it is so hard to change yourself, especially when you think you don't have to change. Like, why do I have to change? I'm not doing anything wrong, Lord.
You're always thinking,
he's the one with the problem.
Yeah.
He's the one that's mean. I'm not mean. Why do I have to change? Right? Why do I have to keep forgiving? And it gets, you get tired. You get really tired. And then when you actually boast about it to the person, like when I tell Reg, I'm trying to be more patient with you. I'm trying to, good for you. You know, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's so frustrating, but you know what? God has shown me out of all of this, because I've always questioned his love for me. Regis.
Okay.
I've always questioned it because he's not romantic. He's not really thoughtful. I mean, the most thoughtful thing I can say, which I really enjoyed, was I think it was either our anniversary or my birthday. I think it was our anniversary or birthday. I went into the bathroom and on the toilet paper, he wrote "Happy Anniversary" on all the toilet rolls. Like a lot of them.
All the squares.
And
The squares.
I could have gotten mad, but instead I thought that was really
Because he
wonderful.
never does that.
Well, he does silly things like that, or he'll give me a Valentine's card that was given to him from someone at work and cross out all of the stuff, cross out all of their names, cross out the message, and then write his name at the bottom. And so, like, things like that,
I do
that could annoy me.
I do that.
But because I'm not used to it, they're precious to me, right? And so all I can say is I love Reg more now, which I never thought would be possible, than I did when we first got married. I mean, on our honeymoon, we did nothing but fight. I literally gave him back my ring. I gave him back my ring. Like, this was our dynamic in our marriage. And some people might say, well, then maybe you made a mistake. No, because I know God's voice and he was speaking to me.
Yeah.
And so nobody understands your dynamic more than you and your partner. And Reg always has told me, hon, you hit the jackpot. And I hate when he says it, but he's right. Because God knew exactly what I need. Could you imagine if I married? Because the problem is too, when you have other past relationships, you compare.
Yeah.
There's no way you can compare. That's how I wish like my daughters would just have one, or be very serious before they entered into one, because you're always going to compare. And I had a lot of good comparisons. So it's hard. It's really hard. And so I have to, put that at the back so that I'm not always comparing my husband, because he's a totally different person.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I understood how much God loved Reg that I was able to love him. Because I'm like, man, God, it's so hard to love him. But then when you also look at yourself, how unlovable you are, because I wasn't looking at that. I wasn't looking how irritating I am.
You're always looking at everybody
Yeah,
else.
of course. Yeah. And so when it becomes a selfless marriage and not a selfish one, and I'm always telling Reg, when we argue, he's always like, submit. And I'm like, love. Because if you don't love me, it's going to make it difficult for me to submit. We went to, okay, I'll tell you something I never forgot. We went to this comedian who's a Christian comedian, and he deals with marriages. And so one of the things he said was, guys, if you want to get the girl, and you know what I mean, get the girl, like intimacy, be nice to the girl. And so I always remember this, because I always tell this to Reg. I'm like, if you're nice to us, just be nice to us. You're going to get that. You're going to get the intimacy. You're going to get the respect. You're going to get all of that. If you want me to submit to you, then show me you love me.
Yeah.
Just be nice. Like, just be kind.
And that's the way you guys are wired.
Simple.
That's the way females are wired.
Simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I don't know how Bianca is, because her love language is service? Or that's your love language?
Mine. Hers is, what do you call it? Words of affirmation, gifts.
Okay, so no, I'm pretty sure the majority of girls will yeah.
Yeah, words of affirmation, gifts, and touch.
Touch. Okay.
Those are her 3 main ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what are yours?
Mine-
Forgiving, because it's different, right? Forgiving and receiving?
Yes.
Okay.
Mine is acts of service.
Is the receiving, so that you feel like you're loved.
Yes. That's it. Just acts of service.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure there's other ones, but that one's right at the top.
Okay. Okay.
And I guess touch too.
I think that's probably a good, a common one for men though, too, right?
Yeah, acts of service.
Yeah.
Because we're always
Yeah.
doing stuff.
Yeah.
So because we're always doing stuff, it's like, well, I would like this done for me. But there are some things that we just can't do for ourselves.
Right.
Right. So when Bianca does the dishes or cleans or does the laundry stuff, right?
That's less stuff on you.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Because we're all like, keep in mind, you work 9, 10, 11, 12, 16. The
Yeah,
other day I
yeah.
worked a 17-hour day. So when I come home to a clean house and food on the table, like the most simplest thing.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, wow, I feel so loved. And you're just at ease.
Yeah.
And that makes it so much easier for me to love her and be nice to her. So a lot of the things that I'll do, because I travel around all of Ontario, right?
Yeah.
So I go to all the clubs. So I'll go to like, on the way home, I'll go grocery shopping. So I'll hit up a Costco, No Frills, Walmart. While I'm there, I'm always thinking of her. I'm like, ooh, what can I get her? So a lot of times, more than not, I'll always come home with a gift
Or a nice
or a surprise, right? Like just a little surprise that I know she likes, right? So she's always getting those on a random day. It'll be a Wednesday. I have a surprise for you. What's the occasion? There's no occasion.
Oh, Jimmy, I wish that all husbands would be like you, because I don't expect, like, you know, for him to spend money. Even if this is what I thought about before. I said, if you were rich, honey, because I remember asking him, if you were rich, honey, would you be more romantic? Because then it would be easy, because you wouldn't have the excuse of, I know, right? But then these rich people who can do that, how do you know if their heart is really into it? Because it's so easy for them to do that. It takes no
Money comes
sacrifice,
easy. Yep.
right?
There's no thought to it.
No thought into it. And so I said, you know, for me, gifts, definitely.
Yeah.
Because you spent your money, but my gifts are more on, write me a card. Tell me how you're feeling.
Yeah.
Or like I want intimacy, but without the intimacy that you're thinking of. Because your idea of intimacy is different from mine.
Yeah.
And for some women, especially me, just give me a hug. Like, hug me throughout the movie.
Bianca
And
wants that
let's
a lot.
get through the whole movie without anything else,
Yeah.
but just hug me
Yeah.
for the whole movie, and maybe stay awake. That would be nice too.
Stay awake.
Yeah.
I stay awake sometimes.
But you know what I mean? Like, I think maybe some girls are afraid to say it, but honestly, just hugs.
No,
That's
Bianca
our
says
form of
that a lot.
intimacy.
Bianca says that a lot.
And the point is, nothing more. Nothing more. And we don't want to feel that you want more, because then it pressures us. And then we feel like if we don't do it, we're not meeting your needs. But our need, like, and this is what I always tell Reg. He's always asking, what are your needs? And I'm like, I've told you a million times, but you don't. What you always trying to think that I want more, but no.
I just want this.
Just
I just want this.
Just hug.
I just want
That's
this.
it, and hug. Just
Well,
hug.
keep this in mind. So, guys, even Bianca tells me this is like, I've told you this so many times. We forget. we forget. So have a little grace on us, because even I'm experiencing it, because Bianca keeps telling me, it's like, I've told you so many times, I like when I wake up in the morning, I just want to hug. But sometimes I'll be like, I'm getting ready. Like, I'll give you a hug later. But I've been getting better, because there have been times where I'll be like, okay, I'll hug you. But then sometimes I tend to ruin the moment, because I'll hug her and be like, oh, your breath stinks. And she'll be like, Jimmy, just whenever you do something like, just keep your mouth shut. I'm like, I can't help it. And it's like, sometimes I just forget. Like, I don't mean to forget, but there are times that we just forget. And maybe it's just a guy thing. Like, we'll just forget.
Well, no. And also, yes, you guys have to, sometimes. Yeah, because we're sensitive. You have to understand that. We're sensitive. Like, Reg, like this morning, it was just like, what happened to your face?
See, I won't say that. I'll say something else like, what's that smell?
And I just want to say, well, you happened to my face, right? Being married to you for almost 23 years.
At least you can kind of see the humor in it.
Like, when you get to our level of years, yeah, you have no choice but to see the humor in it. But yeah.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. I just wanted to touch back on when you were sharing about, you know, how you had zero feelings for Reg, right? And then there was something in your heart that changed. Like, God did something to your heart where it's like, you have a feeling for this guy
well,
now.
not just a feeling, but he was actually attractive.
Yeah, that's
I
the
was
thing.
like, how did that happen?
Like someone you've never seen romantically.
No.
Can I say that?
Yes.
The same thing happened with me. I'm sure. Did I tell you the story? The same thing happened with me, with Bianca. It's like, imagine, we've been friends or I've known her for how many years? Plus there's the whole age gap thing. So it's like, I would never look at Bianca in a romantic way, just as friends. But then all of a sudden I'm lying in my bed and I'm like, God, I did the exact same thing you did. It's like, I don't want to be alone, but I don't know who to pick anymore. So I'm like, I'm leaving this in your hands. But the thing is, with me, it was sudden. It was at that time in my bed, I literally had a physical feeling in my heart shift. And then Bianca's name came to my mind, and I'm like, what the heck was that? Like, I was totally aware of what was happening in that moment. Like, it's like my heart just started beating for her differently.
And you hadn't thought of her for like...
No, not at all. Because I'm like, yeah, Bianca's just thick. So, like, because we have an 11-year age gap, right? And I'm like, I know her
She's like your
family.
little-
And I'm like, we're close with our families. And I'm like, all of a sudden, now I have these romantic feelings for her. I'm like, what's going on? I was also very thankful. I'm like, I love this girl now. Like, I can go from 10 seconds earlier,
Ew,
whatever.
or whatever.
And then it's like, I love this girl. And it was so...
And it was quick.
It was so
But that's how
quick.
that was the amazing thing, because you never would have thought. And I think even Nane, because Nane knows my distaste for Reg. In fact, we used to make fun of him on the choir. We were like, so like when we were preparing for the wedding, I remember Nane many times.
Oh gosh.
Walking,
Okay.
and she was just like, "Anak, sigurado ka ba?" Like, how I can't even tell you how many times she said that to me. And "anak, sigurado ka ba" means child, are you sure? Because she knew. And so, but she didn't understand what God had done in my heart, and that I truly loved this man.
Yeah.
And now I love him more than anything.
Yeah.
And I would do, and I always tell him, and I always ask him, you know, you're the head of the house. You're supposed to be as Christ is to the church. And remember, Christ died for the church. So are you willing to die for me? And he's like, yes, but I would not want to leave you. and it's those jokes that, like, it makes me happy.
All jokes are half men. All jokes are half men.
Yeah. I'll take it. I'll take whatever I can get. After 23 years, I'll take what I can get.
Oh, that's funny. That's great. Well, the other thing that stood out to me when you were telling your story is, I think a lot of people who get into marriage, because the divorce rate is so high, even with people I know, like a lot of friends that I've met along the way, they get married and not even a year, they get separated and they get divorced.
Are we talking Christians or no?
These are non-Christians, right? I don't know.
Because I know it's becoming more common too with Christians.
With Christians. Well, this is the thing. It's like, do Christians even know what a marriage actually is? And I've talked to Bianca about this, and I was taught this in Bible school, and it's nice to be constantly reminded.
Yeah.
Listen, this is what a marriage is. It's not what the world says a marriage is, because the world will tell you a marriage is like a contract. But the thing about a contract is self-fulfilling.
Okay.
It's like, what can you do for me? Right? And if you don't do those things for me, I want to split up and take from you what I deserve. Correct?
Yeah. Okay.
Where God says marriage is a covenant, and a covenant is the complete opposite of a contract. A covenant is self-sacrificing. Because in a covenant, what you do is you have trust and selflessness for the other person. And the mindset is, what can I do for them that will make their life better, right? Like, you don't want to take anything from them. You want to give everything
To them.
to them.
Yeah.
And that is the key difference that a lot of people who get married, even Christians,
Yeah.
they don't know. So I think this totally needs to be taught
Yeah.
and spread.
Yeah.
Because I'll just ask random people, especially those who are engaged. I'll be like, hey, what do you think of marriage is? Right? And a lot of them will say, oh, this person completes me. And I'm like, oh, and then I'll share, you know what it says about what it says in the Bible about, you know, two people entering a marriage about, you know, completing each other. I'm like, it doesn't even exist because there's only one person that can complete you. And in the Bible, it's Jesus, it's God, right? So actually a marriage is actually two complete people
Coming together.
together.
God. Yeah.
Yep. And then you're actually even stronger than you were by yourself.
That's right.
Right? Because there are times that I've thought, it's like, man, would have I just been better if I was by myself? Like in my career now, because I'm working. When I get home, I don't have to think about anybody else. I could just concentrate on my career, my work, make more money.
Yeah.
But then when I come home, it's like, no, this person, my wife, is actually here
As a
to help
helper.
me. And I'm
That's
like,
what Eve was to Adam, a helper.
that's what it was, right? And I'm like, man, if only guys knew, because a lot of guys, they don't want to get married anymore, right? Because they see future wives as, oh man, this person's not even going to help me, right? It's like they just want to get what they can get from me. And I'm like, that is the mindset for failure. Like, do you agree?
Yeah.
Right? So my question, I guess my question is to you is, it's like, did you and Reg, or you or Reg, ever have that mindset when you first started?
I don't know if he did. I always
Like,
thought
did
that
you know what a marriage was? Okay.
For me, a marriage was absolutely coming together to build God's kingdom. Like, I really, like, my dream or my thought was, God, you have plans for us to use us both. And so because we're at different levels, right, in our relationship, it's hard because I felt like the pressure of, why am I doing all the praying? Why am I doing all the seeking? Why am I, and that's not to say that Reg is like at a lower level. He has his own personal relationship. And I try so hard not to pressure him.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need him to be at my level. He doesn't need me to be. You don't need to be. And this is, I think, the misconception too, before, when I was going on my own feelings, my own heart. Oh, they have to be the higher than my level.
A lot of Christians do that.
And so you end up never getting married because
nobody's ever going to be at your level.
You're not either, and so there's a lot of grace there. And once you see what God has given you, the patience God has given you, the grace God has given you, the forgiveness God has given you, and then you realize, oh wow, I have to give it to someone else. That's the hard part, because it changes you. And I think, like with me and Reg, I always thought, and I still think this, marriage is about selflessness.
Totally.
Absolutely. Selfless. So my goal is, in my marriage, not about me. I want to fill your needs. So what are your needs? What are your needs? And that's so hard every day. It's like you're dying to yourself. So when it says take up your cross, take up your cross, because you are, I'll tell you a funny story, because I make shrimp. So when we make shrimp, I never buy enough, because the girls really love shrimp.
So they just,
and so I'm making some again today. And
Yeah.
I was talking to Reg about this morning, and I said, yeah, the last time I'm making shrimp today, hun. And he's like, yeah, maybe not make it with so much sauce. And I said, well, actually, do you know the reason why I put so much sauce? It's because I wanted more shrimp for the girls, and I was planning to just have the sauce for myself.
So no shrimp.
So no shrimp for me,
the sauce.
and just the sauce, so I could have it with rice, and
Yeah.
that would be enough because it's good even without the shrimp. And what he doesn't know is I had 2 shrimp. So anyway, so I made shrimp and I made lots of sauce. But he was saying, "Hun, you know, you have to. That's not right. You know, you should be able to have some shrimp too." And I'm like, "But it makes me happy to just have the sauce." And my thinking always is them first, them
Yep.
first. But it's not taking away from me. I'm not trying to be a martyr or something. It really genuinely makes me happy. Like, I can't tell you, like, this is just a simple example, right? But little things like that, like the kids probably won't notice these things. Reg definitely doesn't notice these things. He doesn't know what goes on behind the scenes when I put him first. Always put them first, always put them first. But it makes my heart so full of joy when I do that. And that's what a marriage should be. If it is a burden to you, then something's going on. That means God is just trying to change your heart to be more like his. And that's the process I've had to go through in these how many decades of being married. And that's what has made me stronger. I am so different now, Jimmy, than when I first started. I was so selfish at the beginning of our marriage.
And the thing is, you don't even realize
And
it.
you don't realize it because you're like, I'm giving you everything you need and you're not filling my needs. And that's what was so frustrating because you feel like you deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when God speaks to you and says, it's not what it's about. You're here to fill the needs of your spouse. And if you would just do that, if you both did that, there'd be no problem. The problem is usually one isn't.
Yes.
And so the one who is feels it's so unfair, right? Like
They can feel it's so unfair.
You
Yeah.
came into this covenant with me. Why aren't you doing your part? And that's what drains you. And then so.
But then that's a contract already.
Yes,
That's turned into a contract.
Exactly. And that's the danger. So you really need to, I think you need to both be mature before you enter. And I would say, even though I was 28 when I got married, Reg was 29, like standards today, that's old, right?
Yeah.
You were really old. How old were you? Like, were you 30?
30. Hold on. Fuck, they're not 30, 36.
You were 36?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So, but Bianca was how old was Bianca?
She was 25.
25? Okay. Yeah, that's a good age. But like, I would say, if I'm being honest, maybe we should have waited. I'm glad we didn't, because otherwise I'd be like really old and maybe would have had only like 2 kids. But as far as maturity wise, in knowing what we were getting ourselves into, I would say if we could have waited, I would have waited. To save myself, and I'm being selfish here, to save myself all the agony of those years, because it wasn't just Reg and me that suffered, it was my kids. And the kids know this, especially the girls. I was not anywhere close to being a perfect mom. Imagine, like we were spoiled.
I thought you were a great mom. From what I saw, like I would tell my friends, like I would tell Ray, and I was like, "Yo, my sister, she's a great mom."
Different
because I see all the things that you do for your kids.
Well, you see those, but then moms, they usually always see their weaknesses, and I failed my kids. Even now, I fail my kids, probably because of my hearing problem. But so I don't listen as well, and I feel like they're getting irritated with me because they have to keep repeating, and then I feel it, and it hurts me because I'm like, I'm getting old. You gotta understand.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. But yeah, no. When they were growing up, they took the brunt of it, and the reason for that was because I was struggling in my marriage. So, like, if I had any advice for someone, before you have kids, make sure your marriage is like with your husband, you guys know, and you guys
your
got
strong
together.
foundation.
Yeah, because where was it? I heard somewhere that kids' happiness depends on the happiness of their mom, actually.
Not the dad?
No.
Really?
The mom. And I was like, and when I saw that, I bawled.
Is it because usually the mom, the female, the wife is always at home, sort of?
Well, no, because they see that.
Or is it probably because they're more emotional?
Maybe, or because they see the stability in the, because stability does a lot for
Yes,
the child,
totally.
right?
I'll agree with that.
So, like, even in the times when, I don't know if you know this, and I don't know if I should say it, but I will, because this is all for the glory of God anyways. But there was a time when I wanted to leave. I wanted to leave the marriage. And then I remembered a promise I made to the kids. And I don't even know if they remember, but I promised them that me and your dad I will never divorce your dad. We will never, and I want you to know that. But then here comes the enemy saying, you said that. Okay, I'm going to test that. And he did. And I had all the papers and everything. And I gave it to Reg. And that happened. And I didn't even regret it. I was like, I want out of this. I cannot handle this anymore. All of the pressure. And to make a long story short, got interviewed.
Obviously that didn't happen.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there are days when you're gonna want to give up. Like now, after that first time, I would never even think of that. Ever. Because I love my husband so much. Honey, I love you so much if you're watching.
Love is also a choice too.
It's a decision. I've always said that. It is not based on your feelings.
And it's not just a one-time decision.
That's right.
It's daily.
Yes.
It's daily. Like some people will think, yep, I make my decision at the altar and then that's it. Well, dude, you can change. You gotta do it day by day. You gotta do it day by day.
Yeah.
I'll even say love is a choice. In the end, it's you can make it a decision. Right?
Yeah. And that's a hard one. Because if you got to ignore, you got to ignore your looks, you got to ignore your feelings, you got to ignore everything.
Everything that you see with your eyes and you hear with your ears. Well, this is the other thing that I wanted to talk about. And I've been sharing with a lot of people. It's whatever you focus on, whatever your mind focuses on, that's the path your life is going to go down.
And that's good, especially when it comes to your spouse too, because I've been finding it's so much easier because God gives you these strategies too. And this is the one thing about God. Like when I'm complaining to him, I'll be like, no, there was one time, and I even told Reg, there was one time because sometimes there's like a language barrier. And I think it's because he's so busy right now. He doesn't hear everything I say. It's selective hearing, I swear. And I'm probably like this too. So I'm not gonna go into it too much. But with guys, I find you guys are selective. My goodness. Like I'll tell him, I'll talk to him for 30 seconds. He'll get the last part and that's it. And when I say to him, and I think he's used to it now, I'll be like, hon, what did I just say? And he'll tell me the last part. And I'm like, no. Back up. And you won't know. You're like, no, I heard the last part. And I'll be like, you need to listen.
You gotta listen to the whole
more. And I was telling him the other day, we had to do something at the brick, get a credit or something. And he totally misunderstood me. Totally misunderstood.
What did he think?
Well, no, because I said we had a credit for $400. And so we had to spend at least $400 because that's the credit. And he thought I meant we had to spend $400 of our own money. And so he was like, no, we're not going to do that. Yeah. And I got off the phone and literally I was like, God, he's so annoying. And I was the only one in the house. So this made it really easy. I was screaming. I was screaming like at Reg, but to God about Reg. And he's so annoying. He's so annoying. And I was just like that. And then at the same time, he was like, give him some grace because I've given you so much grace. And I was like, no, I want you to take my side because you know it's true. It's true.
Probably laughing.
And that is the most wonderful thing about your relationship with God, that you can do that. Yeah. Sometimes I think we think he's such a holy God that he won't put up with that. And so we have to come to him like all
prim and proper.
Yeah. Yep. So remember, he's your father. And that's what I always remember. Like Tatay.
Yeah.
And we are blessed, Jimmy. I've thought about this so many times. I'm so thankful because usually whoever your earthly father is, that's going to be your first, experience of a heavenly father.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of people who've been abused maybe by their
that's an example of a father figure. Yeah. Because that's the only one they know.
It makes it really hard for them to trust God because they're like, no, that's
not
my
dad.
Right. No. But that they made it very easy because he was so loving and he's so gracious and he's so forgiving. And you know how he is. Yeah. And so when I came into a personal relationship with God, I already knew that that's the kind of father I had. So like even with that, if I ever needed anything, if I needed, I can't tell you how many times I've come here just crying and I just want to cry. That's all. That's all. And he'll just be there to say, God will make a way and start singing.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And it's okay. I can't tell you how many times, and I've shared this with Reg. I said, do you know that if it wasn't for Nanay and Tatay, probably maybe I would have pushed for like divorcing you a long time ago because Tatay, I'll never forget because I was going through so much with Raj, and Tatay said to me, well, anak, yan ang pinasukan mo. So,
what does that translate
that
into?
Means that's what
you
went
entered into. Yeah.
So basically you got married, you're in it for life.
Yeah.
And I'll always remember those words. So anytime I get annoyed with Reg, I'll always say, okay.
That's what I got myself
Okay, yeah.
into.
So, but I trust God. And that's it. And I always think to myself, Lord, if there's anything that I want to do, it's just always to obey you without question.
Yeah.
And when it came to a husband, I did. I obeyed without question. I asked for the feelings and I asked for the confirmation, but without question. Like, how many people can say that? I'm not bragging about it. I'm just saying that if you understand how much God loves you, then you will trust him with even things that you don't understand.
Yep.
And even now with so much stuff that I don't understand, I know he knows the future. I trust him even though I have no idea what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I think you've been the best guest ever.
No, probably the most talkative. No, I'm honest. I'll
Well, that's
you
the
know.
thing. You got 23 years of marriage under your belt. I'm sure a lot of people can relate with the struggles that you've gone through. And this is as a Christian, Bible-believing wife, right? Now, can you imagine you don't even know God? Like,
my
you're just on a road to failure.
Yeah.
Like, even just going back to, do you even know what a marriage is? I think understanding the purpose of marriage is the formula, or is a formula. And I'll say understanding the purpose of marriage is the formula for success.
Yeah.
Because when you understand the purpose of something, why God created it, why God created
And
marriage.
also that's your foundation.
That is your foundation, and everything is built on that. Your marriage will succeed. Totally, 100%.
Yeah.
I guess we'll end it off here. We're pretty long. This was good.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to say this, honey. If you're watching, I'll make you watch this. I love you so much. I made a comment earlier that I said that I always question Reg's love for me, but we had gone through and are still going through some stuff right now. This is not the way to end it. But
We'll end it off on a
anyways,
good note.
okay.
You can finish what you're gonna say.
Without telling you the details, we went through some stuff and totally, completely, well, I wouldn't say it's my fault because I still believe that God orchestrated. I believe that God's, I was sharing this with Reg the other day. I watched a preaching about God's providence, that nothing is, you cannot believe in chance. As a Christian, there's no such thing as chance or luck because it's just God's providence, meaning he is in full control of everything and nothing is a coincidence. And I truly believe that. I've always believed that from the very beginning that I accepted the Lord until even now. I believe that God is in complete control of everything. And so we were going through something where I felt all the pressure and the guilt and the shame because of what I may have participated in. And I would say that if we weren't a Christian couple, I'm pretty sure, almost 100% sure that we wouldn't be together anymore, because I know of other people who've gone through maybe not even that bad,
Like a fraction of it.
maybe just a fraction of it, and
They're separated.
and so there was a point where like we didn't speak for 2 weeks, maybe longer, and I just left it alone. And so for those 2 or 3 weeks, I just prayed and I just cried out to God and I said, I don't know what's going to happen. I trust you. I love you. And kayo na bahala sa asawa ko. So you deal with him and I'll deal with myself. And then we reconciled, Reg and I. We didn't split up or anything, but we talked again. And dun ko nakita, that's where I saw how much this man loves me. And so, hon, if I always, because I always ask him, and girls, I'm sure you do this a lot. I can't be the only one. Hon, do you love me? And I know it irritates the heck out of him because I'll be like, hon, do you love me? And so now what he'll do is, hon, I love you. What else do I need to say? I'm sorry. And,
He's just trying to touch each base.
He's like, and that's forever. So like he'll tell me everything I need to hear, and which I love the I'm sorry one a lot. Maybe more important actually, husbands, for your wives to hear the I'm sorry more than the I love you. But through what we're going through now and what we've been through, now it's completely clear to me. All of the doubts I might have had before, I know that this man loves me. The
Yeah.
mere fact that he's still here with me, not just because we have kids, but because he truly loves me. And to hear him actually say it without me asking, because I asked him, I said, "Do you still love me? You know, even after all." "And I love you. What can I do?"
Yeah.
And so that I love you too, honey. And thank you for loving me in all my
Okay.
can you put like an emoji face on?
Probably.
Okay. In all my weaknesses and failures. I know that you're the smarter one. I know. No, cut that out. I don't want to say that.
I'm just letting you know.
He's gonna get proud. No, I know that you're better at a lot of things, and I think now I realize that in a marriage we both have weaknesses and have strengths, and I think where we fail is a lot of times I felt like Reg put responsibility on me and I put responsibility on him in areas where we were weak. You know, so like he'll say, "Discipline the kids," and I'm like, "I can't because I'm a mother. I love to
That's
love."
the father.
So
that's the role
your
of a
job,
husband.
right?
Yeah.
And so when you give me that, and this is the danger, when you give that responsibility that your spouse is weak at, you're just setting them up for failure.
I'll even say this: when you give the wrong role to the wrong person, that sets them up for failure.
Yeah.
Because God has given roles to
Right.
each, the husband and the wife.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And so now I realize, okay, he's good at this, so I'm going to let him do this, and this is what I'm good at. So let me concentrate on this. And it took us almost 23 years. So please, you know, I don't want anybody to have to go through all of the struggles that we've gone through. Like, just learn from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, I'll just add to this. It's the Bible has so many things to say about marriage. Like even 10 seconds ago, we were talking about roles of the wife, roles of the husband. You were saying it's really hard for me to discipline the kids. Like, can you do it? Because as the husband, it is our role. It's part of our role to discipline because God created us that way. God didn't create the wives that way. So I think if you also want to be successful in your marriage, go to the Bible, see what God has to say about roles of the husband, roles of the wives. Because when we actually submit, I won't say submit, but yield to those roles, your marriage will go so much smoother, and you don't have to go 20 years trying to figure it out because the answers are already in the Bible. And I think that's the advantage me and Bianca have is one, we went to Bible school, and two, we have your relationship, Nana and Tatai's relationship. We have all these relationships we can look at and we can just learn from.
Yeah,
terrible.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is a good thing, though. That's where wisdom.
Like,
comes
God
from.
doesn't
It's
want
really
us to
good.
suffer, right? But that's why he tells us these things, and it's in his word, and he'll surround us with people in our circle, our social circle, with this knowledge and wisdom, right? So, I just want to end things off with that. Ate, thank you for being a guest. Maybe we'll have you on again.
Different topic.
Oh, totally different topic.
Maybe you can have Reg on.
Ooh, that would probably be good. Oh, God. Yeah, we'll see. See what he has to say. Talk to him.
No.
All right, with that being said, all right, thanks, everybody. Until next time, peace.
Bye.